Hello and welcome to our sixth chat in the Fireside chat series entitled Executing Our Corporate Strategies. As always, I'm Dr. KD Ewulu, executive coach and author of the leadership book, Big Dreams, Making It Happen for Organizations and Teams. Thanks for joining me for this 12-minute chat or so. And if you're not able to join us live, thanks for watching a replay of the presentation. Today, we'll go into a little bit more detail concerning doing things in real time, which is affectionately called DIIRT by my network. We're also going to be looking at rolling wave planning and, of course, the intricacies of negotiations with bosses, clients, vendors, and stakeholders, time permitting. I'm going to start with a few notable quotes. The first quote by Poses and Postner in 2007 highlights the importance of taking action, and it goes this way: leaders should model the way. Simple. In essence, though our inspirational words matter, our actions actually matter the more. So in order to take ourselves and our organizations to our dream, we must get back our mojo to lead by acting upon our predetermined courses of action, by measuring and controlling our execution processes, and by staying the course through whatever obstacles that will definitely come up. Now let's look briefly at DIIRT, my acronym for doing it in real time. One of the biggest challenges we face during the execution phase of our plan is procrastination. This habit basically makes us put aside the things we should do in the present until sometime in the future, for whatever cogent reasons there may be. Now, reasons for procrastination include the complexity of the task at hand, shortage of available resources, the unpleasantness of the task, the inconvenience of the schedule for performing the task, and the fear of failure, to mention just a few. Now, whether the task at hand is completing the setup process for our new businesses, whether it is beginning a new career in a new industry, whether it is taking and passing that professional certification exam, interviewing for a top management position, or even leading your organization as a C-suite member, we often find ourselves putting things off. That is, we find ourselves procrastinating. Now, my one-size-fits-all solution is perform it in the now. Do things in real time. Just begin. Now, trying to have all our plans in place before acting on them is a plausible excuse we sometimes give, so we don't have to start execution immediately. Mother Teresa of blessed memory could not have put it any more succinctly. She said, "Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is not yet here. We have only today. So let us begin." I'm going to be sharing a little bit about Emily, not her real name. Emily is an aspiring new business owner. She works in paid employment, but is also a skilled hairdresser who's always dreamed of owning her own beauty shop and spa. For over 4 years, she's dreamed and hoped, but has never had all the pieces at the same time and doesn't want to step out until all the T's are crossed. Does that sound familiar? Emily is a good example of some of the individuals we at KDEL have coached. And basically, all we did to enable her hairdressing business was to help her stop planning and start doing. Simple. Stop planning and start doing. Therefore, to overcome the lethargy that we all experience when we are at the cusp of implementation. We should mindfully embrace the concepts of what is called rolling wave planning, 360-degree feedback, and the concept of tweaking. I'm going to start with rolling wave planning. Rolling wave planning is a process that advocates breaking down our plans into several segments and beginning the execution of earlier plan stages without fully completing later stages in the planning process. Basically, as you're planning one stage, you're executing a stage further along the line. I'm going to show you a graphical representation of the rolling wave planning process. And basically, it looks this way. As you can see here, as we plan out stage C, which as you see is in a blue color, we'll start executing stage A. And as we plan out stage D, we'll start executing stage B. As you can see, those arrows connecting, the A is connected to the C, the B is connected to the D, and the C is connected to the E. As we start executing stage C, we'll start planning stage E. That's just the basis behind the rolling wave planning. You break up your entire process into small, easily manageable chunks. And you don't wait to plan everything from A to E before you start executing. By the time you get to the middle stage of planning, you should be executing the very first stage. Okay? That's just the premise for rolling wave planning. So in essence, in corporate settings, time should be used judiciously. And performance is often optimized when some planning and execution tasks are performed simultaneously. This tendency epitomizes the concept of agile project management. Now, this is not a place to discuss agile project management, okay? But basically, in agile project management, planning and execution occur in small cycles. Tweaks are made to unacceptable actions or processes, and progression to the next small cycle happens. So you have these cyclical events, and once each one is approved, you go to the next event and the next event and the next. So you're not doing everything in one straight line. That's what the rolling wave planning cycle kind of looks like. So basically, it's good to plan, but equally necessary to execute. Now, I'm going to touch briefly on the concept of 360-degree feedback, which incorporates the practice of receiving feedback from our bosses, from our peers, from our subordinates, thereby helping us with better outcomes. Now, oftentimes, the inclination is to seek positive reinforcement by asking others to identify the things we did well at. And don't get me wrong, this is a well-needed validation. However, much as this is needful for motivation, emphasis should also be placed on receiving negative feedback, as this shines a spotlight on the things we need to improve upon, thereby leading to improved productivity and customer satisfaction levels. The necessary mindset for leaders who embrace the 360-degree feedback concept is simply humility. We know that while we can readily accept and operationalize negative feedback from our superiors and perhaps from our peers, it is often difficult as normal human beings to readily embrace negative feedback from our direct reports and subordinates. I want to pause here to make a suggestion for those of us giving feedback to our superiors. Now I'm inverting it. Yes, it's tough to receive feedback from our subordinates, but for those of us who are in the unique position to give feedback to our superiors, we should keep our feedback focused on the behavior and actions our superiors take, and not on the person, not on their methodology, not on the negative emotions they elicit in us due to their actions. Let our feedback be professional and not personal. And let our feedback be delivered in private via carefully selected words. Now, I'm going to be looking at very briefly at the concept of tweaking, which is our ability to modify our practices and procedures based on negative feedback from stakeholders. Our stakeholders are encouraged to continue being a part of the feedback process when they notice the incorporation of their past observations into our new mode of operations. Basically, once they see that you are incorporating their suggestions to your modus operandi, they're encouraged to give more suggestions going forward. So in essence, accepting negative criticism stems from being humble, understanding that we do not have a monopoly of knowledge. Nobody does. And knowing that criticisms are not personal in nature, and having a genuine desire to have better outcomes. It's also a mark of maturity to close the loop by letting our respondents know how we've made changes based on their feedback. I'm going to conclude this fortnight's fireside chat by introducing the absolutely vital practice of bargaining and negotiations. We'll be going into it in more detail during fireside chat number 7, okay? Which of course is going to occur on Monday, April 15th, 2024 by 7:30 p.m. Eastern in 2 weeks' time. Now, no matter where we are in life or what we're doing, one thing is certain. We'll need to bargain, haggle, negotiate, and sometimes give ground in order to move forward. According to Nabil Jamal, in a negotiation, we must find a solution that pleases everyone, because no one accepts that they must lose and that the other must win. Both must win. So the general rules governing negotiations are enunciated clearly by various notable quotes from some very famous and influential leaders. I'll share some of them here as a preamble before we dive into the nitty-gritty in 2 weeks' time. John F. Kennedy, former president of the United States, once advised, "Do not negotiate out of fear, but never fear to negotiate." Howard Baker adds to this by saying, "Keep it professional and factual. Remove all emotion from the negotiation process." J. Paul Getty advocates, "To seal many deals, you should always leave some marbles on the table." Mark McCormick dives into tactical negotiations by saying, "In negotiations, use anger as a calculated act and never as a reaction." Harvey Robbins goes into the philosophical aspects of negotiations by postulating the following: place a higher priority on discovering what a win looks like for the other person. Finally, I want us to remember that the whole point of negotiating is compromise. This means that you need to look out for yourself, but also be willing to budge, to shift in order to satisfy both parties. My time is up, folks. I know this is a very crucial piece in the corporate world, and that's why I dedicated a large chunk of my book to the art and science of bargaining and negotiations. We're going to pick it up from here when you join me in 2 weeks' time on this same platform as we continue our review of my leadership book, Big Dreams, Making It Happen for Organizations and Teams. So, in our next broadcast on Monday, 15th April 2024, titled Bargaining and Negotiations Explained, we'll delve into the nuts and bolts of bargaining. We're going to look at steps to successful negotiations, the concepts of BATNA, of ZOPA, of concessioning, the poker face, the flinch, time permitting. You don't want to miss this episode, okay? So, what I can ask us to do right now is, I want us to get prepared for broadcast number 7 by grabbing a copy of my book. At the QR code on the screen, at the bottom of the screen, and on the background to the left of the screen, it will take you to the links below. The first link is a link to the paperback version of the book, and the second link is the link to the ebook version of the book. As I said, the QR code right there will also take you to the book. All right. I am coming to the end of this. I want you to also Connect with me on LinkedIn to receive notifications about these fireside chats. We have about 7 more of them scheduled every other Monday until sometime in June 2024. I want you to have a focused, successful, and satisfying 2 weeks. I'm going to see you at our 7th broadcast on Monday, April 15th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. This is Dr. KD Ewulu. I'm rooting for you as you dream big. Plan astutely and time effectively. Get things done in real time. Execute tactfully by utilizing the rolling wave planning method, and negotiate courageously with the big picture in mind. Cheers and take care now. See you next week.